Hey everyone, welcome to day 14 and 15. I've been a little bit under the weather this weekend, so did not get to a video yesterday, Saturday, but trying to get something here recorded today, and might catch my kids in the background. They're cleaning up in the next room over, and they tend to get a little rambunctious. So I'm coming back to our Lucid chart layout, and this 3 phases of validation, which has been really helpful for me to be able to break down into this thought process. It's helped me compartmentalize a little bit more on how we're working with things. And so I did some time and whiteboarded some of the items you can't see on my whiteboards back over here, and starting to pull these back into our balsamic mockup. So if I can screen share present. So one of the things that we're considering is a larger suite of tools that you can sign in and sign up with. And the main reason is that we want to start getting contacts into the system sooner than later, so we can start preceding kind of success for your validation. So we've got our sign up, login. I always struggle with sign in, sign up. We've considered putting a kind of a threshold in place. This came from a friend of mine, Nick, of can we get them to commit to something as a daily activity or a week activity, trying to show that if they can't start, doing their marketing now, they're probably not going to be as successful. And this is something I've been trying to hold myself to with these daily videos. It probably takes 30 minutes to an hour to get the videos prepped for what we're going to talk about, have enough stuff done for the day to get enough showable, to do some very, very light editing, like we do a pre-video card out of Photoshop, and then we need to export them, pull them into, we're doing LinkedIn and YouTube, and then we need to be able to write copy for both of those platforms. YouTube has been kind of dead in the water for us, but it's something I want to keep doing. Having index content on there will be good. And then LinkedIn has actually been something good for us. We've been getting a few comments here and there, getting some decent people watching, but that has to do with our YouTube audience is practically zero. I think there's 18 subscribers. And LinkedIn, I've got, 2,000 people or something on my profile or my connections. So it's better to have a larger audience. That certainly helps. But what can you commit to as an entrepreneur for doing something, every day, every other day to help drive things forward? Then we would go into a onboarding questions. And I think I talked about it before. It would be a kind of an XY quadrant. And do you have high or low entrepreneurial aptitude or industry experience, kind of would be the two axes that we'd be looking at. And we're thinking that's going to tailor your onboarding process and kind of what steps you'd walk through depending upon where you're at. I almost liken it to if I'm going into college and I do really well in my math on my ACTs or SATs, typically you don't have to start out as early on in math. You can jump ahead a few classes. So that's kind of the thought process there. And then we would jump into kind of the lean canvas question. Who's your target customer? What problems do they face? And how severe or frequent is the problem? And then that brings us to a summary page. And I actually, before, jumped over and started going into who else is solving this problem. But if we're really trying to break this up into 3 sections, those would be the first 3 questions we do. Then we want to start getting interviews in the system. And so this is where we'd have a little congratulations, you've done your first little checkbox, possibly a quote, pulled in something from Peter Drucker about the target market and the customers. And then this is really where I need our copywriter to help me pull in stuff. But we're going to find the first five people to build your company, the first 5 of your tribe, first 5 allies, and then helping them think through why is this important. Maybe that's a video that they engage with, but we want to find your first 5 people to connect with, and that'd be either from you can just directly enter them into a form, possibly looking at full contact, which is a API-driven service contact to help pull in information. Hear my kids screaming next door here. So if I do my email and I search against their API, their database, and I suppose I have to spell stuff properly. So it pulls back information about me, my LinkedIn profile, Twitter profile. And so possibly some options to enhance their profile, some rich information. And the main reason I want to pull more data in is that I want to be able to find out if I have an interview with a certain person and I say it's a really good interview, and can I correlate that data for other good interviews to saying, okay, everyone that I've talked to has a title of founder, or that they have 10 plus years of experience? Is there something that I can pull out to help say, hey, here's your target persona that's giving you your good feedback. We'll find more of these people. The other reason that we want to start with your first 5 people is that my assumption is almost everyone is able to pick 5 people that they can talk to about their startup. And it's from anything from there that my target market. I just need to get familiar with doing user interviews, and I need to win. Like, whatever the reason, it's okay to pick these 5 people. It's not so much about the 5 people, but it's about the next round. And so if you put 5 people in, at the end of that interview, we're going to have a question to say, hey, you talked with Josh. Who you need to ask Josh, who are 2 people that you should recommend talking to? And so now does this first 5 turn into 10 people? And what we're starting to see is these first 5 people don't need to have industry experience. They just need to have enough connections to connect you with somebody with industry experience. So even if you're not deep enough, in the industry they're trying to work in, can these first 5 friendlies help you get in front of the people? And if we bake this into the must-do items within the app, are you now more successful? Because how else are you going to find these people? Are you going to end up on Quora? Are you going to be trolling Facebook and asking for favors? It's feeling pretty good to be heading in this direction to get your first 5 people. We need some definitely to flesh out a little bit more about how that looks. But I feel like we're starting to get our arms put around the the first bucket of, I need to find people to ask questions of, to find out what the problem is and what the market is that I'm talking to. And then the other thought is, if we can group surveys or interviews into groups of 5, we can then treat that as a cohort, so that we can say after the end of the first 5, we can start asking questions of, do you feel like the problem that you've stated has been validated? Do you feel like there's still more to learn? You can go then through the second 5 and ask the question of, are you finding new information? Should you pivot? And then it makes for an easier transition from how do I go from one into the next bucket? So how do I go to the possible solution? And I think by going through 5, 10, 15 of these interviews, we now can end up in the possible solution bucket. And that's where we start asking questions like, who's currently in the market? How are they pricing? Is it a monthly charge? Is it a one-time fee? And then every time we're going through this, we keep growing our audience, so it gets bigger and bigger. So that now by the time we get to the sell it, we'll be able to say, all right, you got 50 people in the system. You haven't had to do any marketing, any landing pages, any social media. This has been all through your network that you've been able to pull these people into. I would hope by the time you got 50 people in there, there's at least 10 of them that you'd be able to go back to and say, hey, you are my target market. You've said this is a problem. Would you buy my thing? So that's my hypothesis or my theory. I can never remember which is which, but those are my untested things that I have a strong feeling towards. So we're going to try to validate that ourselves. Wanted to show it a little bit on the marketing of what we're trying to do as well. I mainly wanted to do this I've got a couple meetings tomorrow, and want to start showing them what we're doing in a holistic standpoint. So our marketing strategy is we're going to be finding we headquarter out of the NDSU Tech Park here in Fargo. And so we want to find every one of these parks is like us. I'm going to be having our Upwork assistant find them, catalog them, and then we're going to be doing emails and outreach. We're going to connect with marketers so that we want to be able to ask, hey, we've got this free tool. How would you grow the audience for it? And we've been fortunate enough to work with Neil Patel on some projects, and he's done just this. He's been able to take a free tool that we built for him, launch it into his audience. Garrett Moon is the founder of CoSchedule, who's a local here. Eric Sue, Eric Sue and Heaton Shaw. I'm hoping for an intro through Neil. We'll see how that goes. Brian Harris, Brian Dean. I don't really have any connections to them, but we're hoping, can we get them onto the podcast saying, hey, we're building a free tool. How would you market this if this was you? And hopefully use some influencer name brand to be able to go to Brian Harris, Brian Dean. We got to connect with Michael Sacca a long time ago. I'm hoping some of those things that this kind of came up of. He was doing a podcast when we were at a startup convention in Vegas, probably 7 years ago, something like that. And actually got to talk with him a little bit about one of his books. He was trying to crowdsource some stuff to grow the brand. These people sit in your audience or sit in your contacts. You've had some connection with them over the years. They've been trying to start something. They're more than willing to give you some time on the phone talking through your idea. So we're hoping to validate that. Can we dig into our contact list and find some people that we can put into our From Idea to Done podcast? Next piece is we want to build 4 or 5 long form kind of keystone content pieces that we can really SEO the snot out of, and then grow inbound links into them and social engagement. Evidently stopped writing that sentence. But we want to be able to have be able to run ads against them. And then once the tool's ready to go, we'll have some good content that ranks well. And then we're going to put call to actions in of do you want to do what this article is about, which is, user validation and starting a startup properly. Here's the free tool to do it. The next one is being able to do some ad spends into Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm still pretty fuzzy on this, but I got a buddy that I think I can ask a couple favors of and help us walk through that. Considering doing a product launch on Product Hunt. I know this is going to be a pretty big lift from the stuff I've been reading on it. So that's a maybe. It's going to be around the Christmas time that we launch. So I'm not quite sure on it. We're going to take a trip down to Sioux Falls, which is a community of 250, 300,000 people, about 3 hours south of us. And so we're going to go down there. We got some connections with their entrepreneurial ecosystem and really just want to get connected physically in another location. So trying to, jump in the car and head down. And then finally, we're doing these daily videos, or almost daily videos. I missed one yesterday, but posting them on LinkedIn and YouTube. So those are the pieces that we're starting to do for our marketing strategy as we're starting to build out our product and our direction. And I hope to have more for you soon. It's 5:30 on Sunday, so I should probably go get some dinner going for the kids. Thanks, everyone. Have a great start to your week.